Hi, and welcome to the Changing Perspectives podcast, the show where we discuss a variety of topics, including grief, parenting, health and wellness, and relationships. Join us and explore a number of changing perspectives. We're your hosts, Jenni and Josh Brennan. Well, hi there, Jenni.
Hello.
What's happening?
Not much.
Not much.
Mm-mm.
You seem distracted.
Sorry. I was
Okay.
social mediaing.
Oh, well, that's good. For us or for you?
I was just scrolling.
Oh, so you weren't really social media.
No, there were some questionable items on our local Facebook yard sale site.
Oh, what do you mean questionable?
What
Like
do you wanna talk about?
inappropriate?
Yeah, it kind of
Oh.
seems lately.
Weird.
I don't know.
Like
Like we should move on
used
and not talk
underwear or
about
something?
that. No.
No.
Mm.
Welcome to episode 51, everybody. Hello.
I
Thank you
think
for
we should
joining us. What?
That's just a weird intro there.
Hey, that's good radio.
Oh,
Don't worry.
okay.
Don't you worry
Okay.
about it.
All
Don't
right.
you worry about it. So, episode 51, everybody, thank you for joining us. Today we're going to talk about some...
No, we're talking. I really think we should name this Jenni and Josh. What the heck happened?
What the heck happened? Where were you? Before we do that, can I remind everybody about the exciting new contest that we're doing?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Everybody, please participate in our t-shirt photo contest. Tag us on Facebook or Instagram with a picture of you listening to the show and be entered into a drawing to win a Changing Perspectives t-shirt. Don't forget to do that. I don't know how often we're going to do this drawing. Let's start with once a month for now. Does that work?
So,
monthly-
yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So do that. Once a month drawing. Maybe we'll do it more often if this works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do that. And don't forget, we are going to be reading your iTunes reviews over the air. I've got a couple more reviews to share with everybody towards the end of the episode, so stay tuned for that.
You're being very Jocktobery today.
Yeah?
Stay tuned for our
Stay tuned for
iTunes
that.
reviews. Yeah.
Why do you have to
Kinda wanna
shake your
throw
head like
things at
that?
you.
When you mock me as a radio DJ, you shake your head.
Because that's how you talk.
But I don't shake my head when
You
I
do.
do
I'm going to
that.
record you. Video record you.
Go ahead. Record me.
Mhm, yes. All right. What's happening?
So, Jenni and Josh, what the heck happened?
When was our last episode? Before our last
October
episode?
7th. Before we took a hiatus.
So it was a week before I had surgery. That's
Yes.
why. My first surgery.
Mm-hmm.
That is why we took a hiatus. And then,
We hadn't planned to.
no, because my doctor said, you'll be fine in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Cut to 4 weeks later, and I finally start to feel like myself again.
Right.
Yeah, but also we weren't anticipating that she would find some stuff she found.
Nope.
So, yeah. So what the heck happened?
What the heck happened?
I turned 40. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That
I turned
sums up.
42.
Yeah, but I turned 40, and then everything. My body was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
guess what?
Right.
We're gonna fall apart on
Right.
you." So I turned 40 in June, and had two issues kind of come to light. One of them
Mhm.
started in May. And then in June solidified itself, and I went to the doctor. And so essentially realized that I needed to have two sort of medical issues pursued.
Right.
And so if you're bored by medical stuff, if you're grossed out by medical stuff, if you just don't care about the medical stuff, maybe don't listen to this episode, because that's probably what it's going to center on.
Yeah.
Because I think ultimately, one, I think it's important for people to set appropriate expectations. And two, I think it speaks to the power and the importance of advocating for yourself in the medical community, and how difficult it is to kind of navigate the medical community at times as a patient. So are you asleep?
No.
Oh,
no,
you look
no.
like you were asleep.
No.
Um,
No, we'd fall asleep on the
so
podcast.
I don't really know where to start. Usually you have like probing questions and stuff
Oh.
like that.
Okay.
Usually you're like the interviewer.
I
But what
can
are you
do that.
doing?
I was
You're
looking at
Facebook.
No. I was you had tagged me in something. I didn't know what it was.
Is it our semester at sea? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can be the interviewer for you.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a trying time for us this past month. Probably the
Oh, it
toughest.
sucked. It was awful.
Yeah. This year has been a little bit crazy. But it culminated in the last month. And
Yeah.
what happened?
So there were two simultaneous issues happening. So basically I had an episode in May and then an episode in June. Worst pain of my life. One was in my office in between patients, and I don't know how
did
because
that.
you saw the second episode.
Yeah.
The first episode I was in between patients, literally dying on the floor of my office by myself. I'm a I'm a psychotherapist, so I see a patient, then they
Right.
leave, and then I give myself a 10 to 15 minute break, and then I see another patient. And I think I kind of wrapped up the first session a little early because I was starting to kind of die. And then they left, and I was literally sobbing on the floor. Nobody could hear me because I'm a silent sobber.
You are.
And I think I downed a whole like 800 milligrams of Motrin. I think I luckily had some in my bag, and eventually took it from like a 10 out of 10 pain to like an 8 out of 10 and finished up my day. Because that's what we do as clinicians. We
You're a
kind of
superstar.
suck it up and show up. And then it got better. Like the Motrin helped.
Mhm.
And Josh was like, you probably should maybe go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And I was like,
You think?
let's just see if it happens
Not
again.
normal.
It was definitely like a ovulation kind of pain issue. And then totally forgot about it. And then the next month at ovulation time, I was outside playing wiffle ball with you and the two boys, and it happened again. And
Yeah.
all three of you got to see it this time. And I think you all, well, you wanted to
Freaked
call
us
an
out.
ambulance.
Yeah,
You were like, we're going to the hospital. And I was like, nope. And then you were like, no, you really need to go to the doctor for this. Because again, 800 milligrams Motrin, and then took it from like a 10 to an 8. And I was able to like function, but I was in a lot of pain. So I finally went to the doctor. And they were like, yeah, I don't really know. Could be nothing. Let's do some testing. So they ran some tests and found what was a large cyst on one of my ovaries. And the type of cyst they thought was an endometrioma, which you can only have when you have stage 3 or stage 4, the worst kind of endometriosis, which would be weird for someone who's 40 and has kids to suddenly develop.
Right.
To suddenly have. But the only way to diagnose endometriosis is through a laparoscopy. It's basically like cut you open, get inside, look at all your organs. So
Can I
Yeah.
read for everybody the Mayo Clinic's definition of endometriosis,
sure.
just
And
in case
again, this
people
is a
don't
medical,
understand?
Jenni and Josh, what the heck happened? Medical crap
Yeah.
happened. That's what happened. So if medical stuff is TMI, go ahead and listen to episode 50
Medical stuff.
or episode 52.
Yeah. Medical stuff derailed us and took us off the air significantly.
And challenged us.
Yeah.
Us.
Endometriosis is often a painful disorder in which tissue similar to the tissue that normally lines the inside of a uterus, the endometrium, grows outside of the uterus. Endometriosis most commonly involves your ovaries, fallopian tubes, and the tissue lining of your pelvis.
Sounds like a little too much. TMI.
Well, that's what it is.
Okay. Basically, it's just growth inside of a woman's body.
Often not malignant.
And like never malignant.
Right.
There's no. It's a lot like cancer in the way that it grows and spreads and sort of fuels itself.
Right.
But it's not cancer. It doesn't kill you. It can sort of destroy your organs. So my options were to wait and see, and let it potentially explode, and then I would need emergency surgery or have it removed. And so I opted to have it removed, and I wanted to have it done by a surgeon who'd done another sort of medical procedure for me 3 years ago, because I loved her. You loved her.
She's the best, man.
She was booking out, and the soonest, so that was July, the soonest she could get me in for surgery was September, but that was when you were going to be in Toronto, and we wanted to make sure you were there. So it wasn't...
Well, and you wanted to come.
Right. It wasn't going to be... I couldn't get in until October 15th, so we just hoped and prayed that I wouldn't... it wouldn't burst. Oh, she did put me on a birth control pill first.
Yeah, that was great.
I went crazy. Like, it was really awful. I was sobbing uncontrollably every day. Like, hormones are no joke.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people in my practice who, get put on hormonal birth control for a variety of reasons, and then have like depression and anxiety, suicidality symptoms, like really no joke symptoms. And so that was my experience. And after 26 days, I went to my primary care because I needed pre-authorization for the surgery for my primary, because insurance is fun. And actually it was my primary care physician has been my primary care physician for 3 years, and I've never met her because I always see the nurse practitioner that I love.
Right.
But she was like, I'm not going to approve you for surgery, and also approve you for your other medical issue piece until I meet you. So I met her, and I was afraid I was going to have to like fight for things, but she like gave me a hug And I was crying, and she's like, you need to stop taking the pill. Like, just stop today. Like, it's not doing anything for you.
Right.
Stop. And so I did. And I think you all were very happy that I stopped taking that.
Night
and I
and
felt
day.
better. So that was one issue. So I was in constant pain from that every day, and didn't have another like fall down on my knees episode until the week before surgery. I made it through. Like, being on that pill for 26 days, I think actually helped for a couple of months and stayed off any other. Essentially what was happening was other ovarian cysts were growing and then bursting.
Yep.
And so the pain I would feel during ovulation would be the cyst erupting inside my body. Really, really painful. Worse pain than childbirth, like the worst pain of my life. And
I've never seen you that bad.
It was awful.
In pain.
So that was one issue. And then the second issue was I turned 40, had my, at 40, that's when they think you should have your first mammogram to make sure you don't have breast cancer. Had a mammogram. They called me back 30 days later and said, hey, we found some stuff. Come back. So I came back. And they said, what we're going to do is we're going to do an ultrasound of the breast area that we have concern about. And then, we're going to do a follow-up MRI and then have the doctor read it right away. If they're concerned, we're going to do an ultrasound right away. I was there for 3 hours.
Yep.
And they did like 3 additional rounds of mammograms, which are not fun. And then brought me in the room for the ultrasound. And they were like, we're seeing this cluster of cysts. We're not quite sure what they are. And then essentially the doctor was like, I think they're okay. They're kind of moving. I think they're not really cancerous, but you should come back in 6 months just to kind of make sure. And I said, is there a less laid back approach that I should be taking? And
such a great question to ask.
This is the medical advocacy piece that I think is so important. And she said, I'm really glad you asked. I wouldn't come back here. You should go to a center that is specializing in breast care and that has better quality testing than we have. Yeah. Better imaging. You should get 3D imaging. We'll make an appointment for you to come back in 6 months, but you should go have someone else see this outside of our network. Probably, hopefully no one's listening from that doctor's office because probably she could get in trouble because she was referring me outside of their network, outside of their facility. So they weren't going to get any money for that. And I know. But
it was more important that you had the right care, though.
Right. So, so that was when I had to go see my primary care because in order to kind of get the referral to the other outside network provider, I had to have my primary care approve it. And I was very scared that my primary care physician was going to be like, you're young, you're only 40, no big deal.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you a referral outside of our company because that's sort of their company policy is to really avoid that at all costs. But she was fantastic. But I was prepared to fight. I kind of went with some documentation and some reasoning why. Are you leaving? Are you standing?
I'm standing.
Are you falling asleep?
No, but my back hurts a little bit.
All right.
I've never stood before. It's kind of interesting.
They do that in like real radio shows, right?
Yeah, they stand.
Yeah.
We have these cool mic stands where I can actually stand.
Okay, but I can't see you.
Sorry.
So she gave me approval to go to this. So I ended up going to the Dana-Farber Cancer Center, which is a scary place to walk into.
It's just scary to be there.
Yeah. And they did a round of MRI. Well, first I met with a provider, and she took my history, and she was like, wow. So typical public has a 12% chance of developing breast cancer at some point. Based on your family history and your health history, you have a 33% chance.
Yeah.
So almost 3 times the normal rate. And she said, so we're going to get another read of all of your prior scans, and then we're going to rescan you with an MRI. So I went in for an MRI, which is a very fun experience. And they found 2 spots. And so they wanted me to come back for an ultrasound and a biopsy. And the biopsy was probably the scariest thing I've ever done because I don't know, for some reason it creeped me out.
Well, you described the sound.
The sound was awful. Yeah. But here's a really, really sweet story. You came with me, and the ultrasound tech came to get me from the waiting room, and you couldn't come with me, so you stayed in the waiting room. But she walked me back and kind of checked me in and had me get changed. And then when I walked back out of the bathroom, she said, I'm going to ask you a weird question. Did you ever work for hospice? Were you ever a hospice social worker? And I said, I was. Like, I'm super anxious about this appointment.
Right.
I was like, yeah. And I said, is that where I know you from? You look really familiar to me. And she's like, you took care of my mom. You were my mom's hospice social worker.
Yeah.
And you helped me so much. I'm going to take good care of you.
How amazing is that? I know.
And she did. Like, she took such good care of me.
Yeah.
She was holding my hand. She knew that I was scared. She guided me through. She talked to the doctor and basically was like, look, this lady's a big baby. She needs a really thin needle. They gave me like extra Novocaine. She held my hand, and she knew you from high school. You don't really remember her, but she also was friends with another friend of ours. And so during the biopsy procedure, when they're like clipping stuff out of my tissue, she started asking me about our friend. She's like, so what is that person doing now? And I was like, I don't want to talk about it right now. And she was like, I'm so sorry.
She was trying to distract you.
Yeah, she was. And she held my hand. She was like an angel. And it was really, really sweet to have that kind of come full circle, that I took care of her mom, and then she was taking care of me. And then those 5 days waiting for the results were the hardest 5 days of our lives.
Absolutely.
For some reason. I don't know why.
I would have these moments where I would just start crying.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah.
Because my grandmother died of breast cancer. You get death referrals every single day, lots of them, breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked in hospice. I do a lot of grief and bereavement counseling. So cancer in our world happens all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's an everyday occurrence that someone would go for their 40-year annual screening and get breast cancer and have it be metastatic already. And that's
yes. In our professional lives, we don't ever see the patients that are in remission or the patients that survived.
Right. That's true.
We see, at least me.
No. And me too.
Yeah.
I work with a couple of patients who are breast cancer survivors.
So we see the other end.
Right.
Right.
Which skews your reality.
It really does.
And I talk about this, well, I don't talk about myself like this, but this comes up as a topic with patients I see that work in the medical field. It's a blessing and a curse to have this insider knowledge, right? Because you know, like, what are the warning signs? You know how to advocate for yourself. You know the questions to ask. You know how to say to a doctor, I'm not comfortable waiting 6 months. What are my other options here? But you also know all of the bad stuff that can happen. And so you know what to be afraid of. Mm-hmm. And that's really, really a scary thing.
It's so scary. I mean, you work in medical field, emergency services, you see stuff all the time, and it informs the decisions you make. I know a colleague of mine that works with me in organ and tissue donation field. When her kids were little, she never let them go sledding. You and your phone.
Sorry.
That's okay. She never let them go sledding without helmets on. So they're like the only kid at the hill during the winter.
Well, that's like us. We don't let our kids walk on a super, super windy day because we've known people that have died from falling tree limbs. Yeah,
from limbs. So it informs your decisions. And so it's impactful, it's powerful. And so when we're faced with that, when we're waiting for those results to come, it was really tough.
It was really hard.
You're thinking the worst.
You're fearing the worst, and you kind of learn, I think, well, for me, I learned what I need from my friends during a time like that, and who is able and willing to do that, and who is not able and willing to do that. And so that was also like another kind of layer of that we see with people who are grieving, and they say this all the time. They experience a loss, and then the secondary loss for them is their friends, the friends they thought were going to be there, the friends they thought were there like ride or die, that would be there checking on them, that would show up, that would send flowers, bring casseroles, come and sit with them, call them, went silent. And for me, that I experienced some of that, and I wasn't expecting that. And so we got good news.
Yes.
That it was benign. There was a mass. It was a papilloma, which is not cancerous. However, it now doubles your risk of having breast cancer. So my 33% risk just went up. And there's a pretty increased risk that there could be cancer around it or in it. So it was up to me. I could wait, like watch and see, or have a lumpectomy and have it and the surrounding tissue removed to test it completely, which is what both you and I opted for unequivocally, no question about it, we're just going to take this out. Like, what? We're not a wait and see kind of people
Yeah.
because of our experience. And so what wound up happening was that I was scheduled for one surgery for my large ovarian cyst on October 15th and a second surgery 2 weeks later on November 1st for the lumpectomy, where they would test everything. And so, Jenni and Josh, what the heck happened? That's what happened.
So
We released an episode on October 7th, and then I was trying to get ready for surgery. And my doctor, who I love, had said, surgery's on Tuesday. She said, you should be able to go back by Thursday. And so I booked patients for Thursday. And then, you know, when you work with clients for 3 years, you share some information. And so I had said to a client, like, I'm going to schedule for Thursday. I have a surgery on Tuesday. And so if I'm not recovering really quickly, I'll call you and let you know.
Right.
And she said, do you mind if I ask what it is? Because she was a medical provider. And I told her, and she was like, you can't come back to work on Thursday.
Right.
She's like, I've had that procedure 4 times. There's no way you're working on Thursday. You can't come back to work that whole week.
Yeah.
What are you doing? In this very like loving, kind way. And so I did. So I took her advice, and I bumped everybody to Friday, and then had my surgery. And it turns out I do have stage 4 endometriosis. And so I have endometriosis everywhere, on every single major organ. You know, the surgeon got in there. It's on everything. It's on my abdominal wall. My ovaries had grown together with lots of scar tissue. It couldn't be worse. It's stage 4. It's everywhere. It's deep infiltrating. They had to take the cyst, the ovary, a tube, and then kind of like cut back all this tissue. And so I remember coming out of surgery sobbing because I was in so much pain. Right. And that was a really, really tough recovery. It wasn't until everything hurt for a long time.
I was going to say like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I think last week was week 4. And that was the first time I started to feel like, I feel like myself again.
Yeah.
It took a good 3 to 4 weeks. So it ended up being a worse surgery than my C-sections. And I had not been anticipating that. Surgery on Tuesday, thought originally I'd be back to work on Thursday, but then thought, okay, I'll bump it to Friday. And then planned a surprise party for you for that Saturday.
Right.
Because I thought it'd be cool. And I was a freaking mess because as I'm getting closer to Saturday, I'm realizing I can't even drive to pick up the cake. I can't go hang stuff to decorate.
I had no idea what was
going
on with you.
So here, I don't think our friends that were at the party actually listened. We'll find out.
We'll find out.
Because Josh was sitting at the kitchen table with me the day of his surprise party. He's like, what is wrong? He's like, why do we have to go out tonight? What is the big deal?
We don't have to go out.
You cannot go out
totally
tonight.
Fine.
It's fine. We don't have to go out for a date night. You feel miserable. Go back to bed.
Because that's what it was. We were going to go out and then go to the location. And we were just going to go out.
Right.
And you hadn't told me what was going on, obviously.
And and he was like, are you doing something for my birthday?
Yeah,
and I started crying.
Yeah.
And so we had to pretend that, and he was like, oh, that makes so much more sense because I thought you were going crazy.
And we wouldn't have shown up otherwise.
No, it killed me. And shout out to like my sister and our friend Christy, and a few other friends who totally helped out. And
shout out to you for giving me a party.
Well, I didn't know. I thought I would be.
Shared it with my buddy.
I thought it was just going to be this
fun.
quick little like procedure, and I'd be fine.
Yeah.
And it was brutal. And then the next day, because I had pushed myself so much, I had to skip the boys' football games, and I've never done that. And that killed me to sit at home and miss their football games. But I knew I had to because I had to go to work on Monday. I'm self-employed. If I don't work, I don't get paid. And I care about my clients and my patients. So if I don't show up for them, it's not like I have a staff who can do it for me. So I had to go back to work on Monday. And so I had to make a decision. And so that was really, really hard. So then as we moved through the space of those weeks, there was no way I could sit in front of a microphone and talk because I was really frustrated with my body. I was feeling hopeless. I didn't know that I'd ever feel like myself again. Was really nervous. But what does this mean that I have stage 4 endometriosis? Because essentially, like, it's beyond what my doctor can do. I have to go see a specialist in the city who can like cut me
Right,
open
right.
again and cut out the growth.
But I have
and
to shout
save
out
my
your doctor, though. I won't say her name, but she is so great, so approachable, down to earth, really explains stuff in a way that's easy to understand. And the best thing about her is she's from Louisiana, and she got the best accent ever.
She calls me darling.
Yeah.
Darling.
It's great.
Yeah.
Jenny,
I was going to text you and
Your
tell you to wake
phone.
up. You're falling asleep.
that's why I stood up too.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a long day. I'm a
Okay.
little tired.
So that was definitely not a space in which we could record.
No, not at all. And the thing is, by the time you started feeling better,
Ish. Not even
Ish.
like great, but better-ish. It was time for a second surgery.
we're back in the hospital. So,
But a scarier surgery.
I pulled up the definition of papilloma. I'm going to read it just like I did with endometriosis.
All right.
It says, an intraductal papilloma is a small, benign tumor that forms in the milk duct in the breast. These tumors are made of gland and fibrous tissue as well as blood vessels. They most commonly occur in women between ages 35 and 55. There are no known risk factors for intraductal papilloma, but the increase of malignancy risk is higher.
Yeah, so lucky me. But lucky me that it was benign. But
Yes,
now
of
I am
course.
at increased risk. So
Right.
yeah, so a little over 2 weeks after surgery number 1, when I'm still in pain.
They
I'm
gave
in
us a
surgery
punch
number
card
2.
at the surgery center. Like their next one is free, I think.
Well, and so here's another advocacy moment. So
Yes.
it was the same exact surgery center, like literally same exact thing. And so when they
You
called
saw
me,
the same nurses.
we
Like,
did.
Yeah.
So when they called me in for the second surgery, Josh stood up with me, and the nursing assistant was like, "No, you can't come in." And she said that.
Oh my goodness.
And Josh, like his head blew off his head, and he started steaming. And I was like, "It's okay, I'll call you back later." But he really wanted to be in there because we weren't sure if I was going to go under general anesthesia or not. Because technically, it's not so great for you to go under general anesthesia that close together. However, I had a lot of anxiety about being awake and alert
Yeah.
and in the operating room hearing them because the biopsy really freaked me out. I don't know what it is. It's just something about like that part of my body being operated on. Maybe it's because my grandmother died of breast cancer. Maybe it's because of our experiences. I don't know, but it really freaks me out from an anxiety perspective.
Right.
And so I was worried, really wanted to talk with the anesthesiologist about should I go under general or like what are my other options
Right.
here? And you wanted to be part of that conversation.
This is how I process stuff. So when we're in the hospital setting, I have medical background. Everybody knows I'm a medical professional. I've been involved in the medical field since 2005. Or no,
Since September
2002.
11th, essentially.
Really?
Yeah.
2001 actually. Jeez Louise.
You're
So
also a 70-year-old man who wears slacks and says, "Geez,
Jeez Louise. After this, I'm going to put in some Benny Goodman and sit by the fire and fall asleep. But so how I process these events, these experiences, is being able to understand what I'm seeing. And I like being in a room with you in the pre-op and watching the monitor for your vitals and seeing what your
and
O2
you talked
stat
about
is
this
and-
going back to our experience with our oldest because delivery
Yeah.
was kind of traumatic and
Yep.
I almost died. So, and you were sitting there and then they wheeled me away and you were by yourself. So I think that you are, and then with our second, I was in the hospital for a week and
I like
having
to
lots
be
of
there. I'm
issues. So
very
you-
hands-on when it
yeah.
comes to being a family member next of
Right.
kin. I'm very hands-on. It's
And
not
so-
like it for me. I wasn't the stereotypical dad in the 70s and 80s that sits out in the waiting room with a cigar waiting for the doctor to be like, "It's a boy." No, I was there.
Yeah.
And the first surgery, the nurses were great, and they were like asking if I'd be okay watching a needle go in or whatever when they set the IV in, and I was like, yeah, I could do the IV. I want to be there. That's how I process it. I want to
Well, you didn't say any of
ask
that.
questions. No, you said it for me.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you
Oh.
said he could probably do it. But I didn't even have that option in the second surgery, and it bummed me out.
You were so you were livid. You were so
like,
mad.
come on.
And I
was just here 2 weeks ago, and I did everything.
Well, that's what I said to her. I was like, I was literally here 2 weeks ago for a surgery, and it was fine. And she was like, yeah, well, we changed the rules. Not nice. I think it was probably the nurse that she was the assistant to. It was her rule, and I think it was about the IV.
Yeah. I'm sure she's dealt with spouses and other family members that can't handle it.
But so I wasn't prepared. So I'm thinking like you get to go, and this is the surgery I'm more worried about than the other one. Because I'm thinking like there's no way I'm going to be in pain like I was for the first one. Like this is going to be a piece of cake. But this one might mean I have cancer. And this one, I don't know if I'm going under and if that's good if I should or if I'm going to be awake and I'm going to be in the operating room freaking out.
There was too many unknowns.
Right. And so for you not to be able to come back, neither of us were expecting that. So I pushed a little bit and then she was like, yeah, no, it's our rule. He can come back later. So like we got myself situated. A really lovely, lovely person came in to do my IV.
It felt like it was hours.
Well, the lady came in and did the let me see your veins. And she tapped my hand and she was like, oh, that looks good. And I was like, really? My hand? And she's like, why, is that a problem? I'm like, I feel like it has been in the past. And Josh said later on, if he had been in the room, he would have been like, it's never worked.
It's never worked.
It's not. I have horrible memory, especially when it comes to like,
and you have horrible
stuff.
veins.
I have horrible veins. Yeah. And so guess what? It didn't work. It I literally blood splattered everywhere.
It infiltrated. Yeah.
And she felt so bad. And then she got the second one. And so it was 2 sticks to get the IV. And then I was left alone because the person next to me needed something. So I was just sitting there.
I wasn't there.
They forgot to put my warming blanket on. I was just sitting by myself.
I don't think I knew that, really.
Yeah. Oh. And then finally that nursing assistant just happened to walk by and I flagged her down. I was like, can my husband come back now? And she was like, I don't know. And walked away. And I heard her ask the nurse, and the nurse said, her IV's in, right? Yeah, that should be fine. So it was about the IV.
That's ridiculous.
I know.
Ask me.
So,
I would have been like,
you
sure,
can't
that's
ask
fine.
in the middle of the waiting room. So anyway, then once we were back there, I felt better. And then the anesthesiologist came, and he is the anesthesiologist that I think did my IV for our youngest.
Oh, really?
I think he was the one that hit the vein, hit the nerve.
Oh, that's right.
And he's the guy that I remember when coming out of my first surgery. I remember his voice. So when he walked in the room and I heard his voice, I instantly felt like, oh, he's the guy that took good care of me.
Yeah, so you were good.
Because the anesthesiologist that I was supposed to have in my first surgery didn't show up. I remember they gave me the Versed. I was like Tequila Jenny in the operating room. And they were like, where's Dr. So-and-so, the anesthesiologist? And everyone was like, I don't really know.
Oh, he's golfing.
He didn't show up. But this other guy came and he was really nice. And who showed up for my second surgery. And he was like, hey, so, all right, so you're going to be under general today. And I so appreciated that because he just made the decision for me. I didn't have to make the decision. Good. And I felt like I was in good hands. And then everything was easy from then. I woke up from the second surgery in no pain, felt fine. The nurse was like, it
was weird.
The nurse was like, you're really doing great. And I was
you to be in more pain.
I was like, listen, this is nothing compared to 2 weeks ago. I'm still in more pain right now from that surgery than this other surgery. I'm cool. Can I go home? Right. And so, but then we had to wait for the findings, the pathology report. Right. And again, it was this other difficult period of waiting to find out, do I have cancer? Do I have breast cancer? Do I have to make a decision about chemo, radiation, a mastectomy? Do I have the BRCA gene? And means I also need a hysterectomy to take my ovaries out. These are big things. And again, I think you and I just kind of both turn inward. And it's hard to reach out to friends and say, I need you to check in on me and family. I need you to check in on me. I need you to call me. And I need you to ask me about these things. And so it was a really lonely, kind of really depressing, dark time.
Can you put a pin on that?
Yeah.
On that. I want to talk more about that after the break.
We're taking a break?
We're going to take a quick break.
Because Everett's barking?
It sounds like Everett needs to go outside anyway. So. All right, everybody. We will be right back. You stay tuned and listen to this message from getburly.com. Are you looking to level up in life with your health, mindset, and personal mission statement? Are you a coach of a sports team or leader of an organization looking to build critical leadership skills for your team? If so, then look no further than GetBurly.com. The Get Burly brand offers life coaching, personal fitness programming, and team building retreats, clinics, and seminars, all designed to empower individuals and teams to become the best versions of themselves. The Get Burly Team Building and Leadership Development Division works specifically with athletic teams, corporate groups, and educational institutions. Through their signature seminars, workshops, and/or retreats, Get Burly will have your team firing on all cylinders and working as an inspired, cohesive unit, committed to the mission and vision of your program or organization. Get Burly will build the inner strength necessary for you and your team to gain clarity around your mission, input strategies to enhance mindfulness, amplify personal accountability and ownership, and much, much more. Do yourself and your team a favor and visit GetBurly.com. Get Burly. Be the best version of you. Hi, everybody. We are back from the break. Jenny, thanks for taking a break. I know you don't like taking breaks.
I really don't.
I think it's good formatting, and it gives us a chance to run an ad for our friend. Before the break, we were talking about the impact, really, sort of the universal impact of these two surgeries and your diagnoses on not only you, but our family, our relationships, and our ability to function normally, like do a podcast. It's sort of really derailed our lives for the better part of the fall.
For sure.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But you're doing...
You cut me off, so I feel like I was in the middle of something, and I don't know what I was saying.
Oh. But you're doing better. Physically.
Yeah, but I feel
Right
like you
now.
just minimized everything.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I think you just cut my story short. I don't really know where I was.
Well, I think you were talking about
we never even got to the results.
Oh, that's what we did. We were waiting on the results. You said I'm waiting on the results again. Was trying. So let's talk about that. Let's pick up the story right there. We're waiting for the results of the papilloma biopsy.
Well, it was crappy and lousy. And then I just got a notification that someone tried to hack into my PayPal. So I'm trying to fix that right now. Yeah. I'm trying to think how long we waited. It was probably a week. No, I think it was a little longer because I think I called.
It was
after
a little longer. I was like, "What's going on?"
And they didn't have the results yet. And then the doctor did finally call, and you happened to be home when the doctor called and left a message and said, "Good news, it was benign. However, the radiologist could not find any evidence of a papilloma in the tissue that we took."
Right. I was like, "What?"
What? And she said. And so I asked the radiologist again, and I reconfirmed. They did say that they are 100% confident. I'm 100% confident we took the right tissue. Because when I had the biopsy, they put like a little marker in, like a little clip. And then 3 days before my surgery, they put a radioactive like GPS marker in there too, so they could find it. Both of those clips were removed. All of the tissue they took out had looked like it had recently been biopsied. So she said, we have every reason to believe that we took the right tissue and that the initial testing of it being a papilloma was correct. The best guess we have right now is that your biopsies, the 3 samples they took, removed all of the papilloma. So a little weird that they can't really explain it. So I have to go back in 6 months for an ultrasound to sort of see the area once it recovers and make sure that what they saw is in fact gone.
Right.
But benign. And
but
so
that element of like, oh, we got it when we didn't mean to get it was kind of weird.
Yeah, and not really reassuring. So I went for my follow-up this week. And, basically I have to go every year for a mammogram, every 6 months every 6 months I have a mammogram, then I have an MRI. Mammogram, MRI, and I have to go for an ultrasound. But I forgot when I was there for my follow-up that when I had my MRI a few months ago, they found 2 spots. They only were able to biopsy one.
Right.
The second one, I was supposed to go back for a follow-up MRI in January. I have to call and do that. but I just don't have the stamina right now because that was a lot to go through.
Right.
And they sent me for genetic testing, and I finally had my genetic testing today. Like, they initiated the genetic testing stuff.
Where you were the star student.
2 months. That's right. They initiated that 2 months ago, and it took 2 months to get in for a genetics test, and it'll be 4 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, to see if I have the BRCA gene mutation, BRCA1 or BRCA2 mutation. If I do, then I'm at greater risk of having developing breast cancer or ovarian cancer. And if so, I will say right now that my decision is to prophylactically have a mastectomy and remove my other ovary. So these are decisions that I made because I would do something about it if I have either gene mutation. So that is where my brain has been, while also trying to work and plan a vacation and pay all of these medical bills, because we have a wonderful, wonderful insurance policy, which is a deductible policy, which means I pay out of pocket for all of this nonsense. And navigating like just friendships because when you have something like this happen, which, fortunately, like, I'm okay. The endometriosis is okay. The medication, the treatment they have me on now that they know what it is. Oh, and I will say the doctor, when I came out of surgery, said, I have no idea how you had kids. It's a miracle. Because this is what I've been experiencing my entire life. All of the symptoms I thought were just me being a baby has been endometriosis for decades, and really should have been very, very hard to have children. So there's this also like deep gratitude and huge. Sort of miracle nature. Like, how was that able to happen?
Right. Not only once, but twice.
Right. And also, like, I'm not a baby. Like, all of this pain I've been dealing with month after month, year after year, has not been normal, but I've been told for like years and years it is normal. And so to have it confirmed that it wasn't was really just kind of like it just kind of messed with my mind.
Right.
And then 2 weeks ago, we also found out, as I was sort of scrolling through Facebook one day, that a friend of ours that we worked with for like 2.5 years.
I wasn't prepared for you to bring this up.
Sorry, was murdered. Along with her daughter by her husband. And so that also, kind of caught us off guard and sort of sparked a whole like host of emotional reactions. So it's been like this heavy space that we've been walking through, I guess, for the past 6 weeks since October 7th, I had surgery. We're
going to talk more about her and her amazing life in a future episode.
Yeah,
and
I'm not ready to talk about
No, but
or name it or anything. Or I know you're looking at the mirror that we have from her right now.
I'm the one. I'm facing it.
Namibia. She was this very like amazing sort of force in our life years ago, and sort of for me impacted me very personally. Influential, very personally and professionally, and sort of set me and us on a certain path. And then, we were sort of in casual contact like you are with lots of people on Facebook that are from your past. And I don't know that she ever really knew how influential she was. Like, she was a huge part of our life back then. Was at our wedding, was a big part of our wedding. We've got stuff from her on the walls in our house. And so to then like just suddenly be scrolling through Facebook and see that she was murdered was really, really heavy. I still
can't quite grasp it.
Yeah, when you think about it, it feels not real.
Yeah.
So all of that, Jenni and Josh, what the heck happened?
Yeah.
Like
once a week for 4 weeks, we were like punched in the gut by something else.
Yeah, and so it really tests you as a couple. I feel like we've been tested as a couple. We haven't been able to like do this, sit in a room, close the door, and talk. And Josh, when he is stressed about medical, he is great. He is a great person to have around in an emergency, as long as you're not someone he cares about.
Right.
No, it's true.
It's true. Family.
Your family.
The three of you.
We were away at a baseball. We were away at a baseball tournament, and there was a car accident like a block away, and you dropped your tray of fried clam strips and jumped over bushes and ran across a highway to get there. And you were like, call 911, and I couldn't even figure out where I was. They were like, where are you calling from? And I was like, I don't really know. I have clam strips. I don't know. And you're like, administering first aid after jumping over trees, literally. But But when it's us, you shut down.
I can't
like
function.
You can't
Yeah.
function. You are a miserable person. You're like,
Right.
you turn inward. You don't know how to turn to your friends. For me, I don't know what I do. I turn to some friends, and then I think friends think I'm needy, and then my negative sort of self-talk kicks in, and I think I'm annoying. I'm a burden to my friend, and then I see passive-aggressive Facebook posts, and I think they're about. Well, I see Facebook posts, and I think they're about me in a passive-aggressive way because I'm super insecure and tender and dark, and so turning on the microphones has not felt safe for me.
That's a good.
It hasn't felt like a safe space for me to be in 6 weeks because I've still wanted to show up for my kids. I've wanted to show up as much as I could for my friends. I've wanted to show up for my patients and for my students. And then after that, I had nothing left. So I couldn't show up for you guys in an authentic way without being fake. And I never want to be fake when we turn these microphones on. I want to be authentic and I want to be useful.
I agree.
And so why am I sharing all of this in a very kind of real way? Because people go through this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. People have
this is real
lumpectomies, biopsies, endometriosis diagnoses, friends murdered, and these feelings of like being alone and needing support but not knowing how to ask for support. This stuff happens all the time. Couples go through this all the time. And so I think it's important to talk about it and say, look, this happened to us, and it's been rough. We've fought a lot. We've turned away from each other. I haven't wanted to sit across the table from you sometimes and turn on a microphone and talk about our relationship because it feels too vulnerable, like something really ugly might come out. But that's real. That's real stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we promised we would always be real. So now with good news, now with a good plan, now with me feeling better, now kind of being in a place with our sort of grieving process, it did feel kind of like time to turn. And actually, I will say,
made my whole day.
I
when
will
you said,
say,
do you want to record?
I will say, people reaching out, strangers reaching out, and
like,
saying,
where are you guys?
Yeah, saying like, are you okay? Are you still doing this anymore? Like, we need you. Are you putting out anything for grief and the holidays? Is everything okay? What's going on? That meant so much to me. And I think that is what pushed me over the edge last night in a good way. Yeah. To like, okay, it's time. Like, people are noticing, people are asking. So that makes me think that if what we're doing is good for even only one person, then we need to do it.
Well, and I talked about this in the last episode. For me, selfishly, it's good for me. Yeah. It's good for us. To do this, and it's indicative. It's not good
for me that you're standing there like falling asleep. I'm feeling
I'm
really
so
boring.
exhausted. Yeah. But I hopefully my tiredness is not coming over on the airwaves here. But I wanted to say it's good for us to connect. It's good for our relationship, and it's indicative of where we're at with what happened to us over the last month and a half, that we are able now to get back in the studio, talk to each other, connect in this way, put out this content that's important to us, that means something to us, and share it with everybody who's interested.
I guess it's indicative of us. What do you mean?
It's indicative of where we're at, that we're back in here and our journey.
Yeah, we're like
to
on
get
the
through
upswing.
This. Yeah, we're on the upswing.
We're coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm feeling much more like myself.
Yeah, me too.
I will say
I feel a lot more like you too.
Ha 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 ha. I will also say that I have struggled with depression for most of my life. I remember being 7, and definitely feeling what I couldn't understand then, but looking back, I understand it now. And all of this has definitely been a trigger, and so it's required me to really, really lean into my coping strategies and the things that are good for me, and lean into the people that are good for me, and tune into my thoughts. Do some cognitive behavioral therapy and kind of poke holes in that negative voice in my head. And so, we're real people with real struggles, and sometimes stuff gets dark. And I decided I wasn't going to let this podcast be a stressor for me. Something that I just did.
Right.
And work was never a stressor for me
either.
Either my classes or my patients like that. We're going on vacation for 2 weeks, and I am so sad to be leaving my clients. I've never been sad to go on vacation and leave work, ever. I'm sad.
I gotta agree with you. I am so sad to be missing my Lola. And Everett and Norma Jean, of course, and our other fur babies, our kitties. But yeah, no, it's I joke, but like you care so much about the work that you do. Everything you do, everything you put your name on. You've been doing this since you were in kindergarten, I'm pretty sure, when you wrote your name backwards. That you...
Which is developmentally appropriate in 1985.
Yeah. Everything you put your name on, from your website to your blog to your Medium articles to this podcast to all the social media outlets, you want it to be the best it can be and real and you want to be proud of what you put out there. And so this last month and a half, we weren't ready to put out some content that had our name on it. It was subpar.
Because it would have been fake and phony.
Yeah,
and
that's not good. That's not good. In fact, I turned on the mics the other day. I prepped everything and I said, you know what? I don't know if she's ready, but I'm kind of ready. Let's turn this on. And you weren't ready. And you were like, nope, I can't get in there. And it's fine.
Yeah.
It was totally fine. But we're back now and we're excited to be back. But yeah, and I think that if you're going through this similar situation, know that there's another side. You can come out
get
of it.
Through it, even if you're still stressed, even if you're still worried. You do get through it somehow. Changed, you come out on the other side a different kind of version of yourself, and you learn lessons. But you do get through it, and I think instinctively we all know how to get through it. We know what we need. It's just a matter of giving ourselves permission to do that.
Right.
So that is what Jenni and Josh. What the heck happened? Life happened. Life happened, and something had to get put on pause. Something had to get put on hold, and it was the podcast and cleaning our house and cleaning the outside. So if you come and look at the outside of our house,
packing for the trip,
we still have leaves. Oh yes, we leave in like 36 hours for our vacation, and not a single thing is packed.
Nope.
But so just think, Home Alone, the McAllisters, the night before. That is imagine that is us. The Brennans right now. I'm not even joking. That will be us tomorrow. We're gonna wake up. I'm gonna get a pedicure because my toes are pretty gnarly, and then we're gonna be the McAllisters running all around the house. And I don't know who's going to be forgotten, but someone will, because a large van is coming to pick up 10 of us.
I know. My prediction, honestly, and I know Kristen and Cole will listen to this, but my prediction is Emma. We definitely gonna leave Emma behind.
I think it actually might be Charlie, the youngest. She might deliberately be like, I'm not going. This is a lot.
We're gonna be at the airport, and Kristen's gonna be like, Emma.
No, I think Charlie.
No.
Or maybe it'll be our teenager, because he has to leave his girlfriend for 11 days. So I don't know. It could be me. I don't know. But so that's what the Brennans are going to be doing. I think we will try to get one more episode recorded that goes up while we're away. But then we will be recording some content while we're away that we then kind of edit and upload and stuff. For maybe while we're away, we might be able to just upload stuff.
Figure it out.
Oh, we might be able to, because I'll have the computer, because I'll be teaching while I'm down there. So so stay tuned. At some point there will be more content. Certainly for those of you non-Disney lovers, there will be Disney stuff you don't have to listen to, or you could and listen to how Disney is not like a terrible place, and listen to how we're going to do it multi-generationally, kind of like, I guess different ages. We're going to go with a 14-year-old and 11-year-old, and we're going with my sister and her family, with 11 and like 9-year-olds and 5-year-olds, and then some in-laws who are adults without children, and then we're taking a cruise. So lots of different stuff to kind of find out about, and a lot of firsts for us, for our family. So
it's exciting.
Do
you really want to bring a mic? We can.
No, I don't really want to bring a mic. Okay. That seems like a lot of work.
All right, we'll talk about it offline.
But I don't know, maybe our new phones are good with a
we just got to figure out how to send the audio file. We'll see what happens. Maybe do some Googling. Yeah.
Maybe we'll work on it. So we're back. I will say I don't know that I'm ready and able to commit to any specific number of episodes per week right now. I will just say we will do our best to put out content on a regular basis, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and don't forget our new contest. We want everybody sporting those Changing Perspectives t-shirts all around. So you have a chance to win one of those by entering our t-shirt photo contest. So what you need to do is take a selfie or a picture of yourself listening to Changing Perspectives, either with a screenshot on your phone or just a good old-fashioned selfie, and tag us on Facebook and Instagram and be entered into a contest to win a t-shirt. And right now we're going to commit to doing one drawing a month, and hopefully we can increase that if everybody likes this contest. We are at the point in the show now where I'd like to read a couple of iTunes reviews. So if you want your review read over the air, go ahead and submit that on iTunes and we will read it. And I wanted to share these great reviews. Hey, listen, I'm going to share nice reviews. Actually, all we have is nice reviews. We've only been around since March, and we've got a handful of iTunes reviews, and all of these are positive. So thank you guys for that. But you can feel free to send us constructive feedback as well. We'll welcome that. This is from Alleyway Rover. That person writes, "Life and how to live it. Sage advice about life and death, love, and relationships. The hosts are thoughtful and engaging, and there is a sense they really care about improving the lives of their listeners." That's really great. Those are really some nice words. Thank you, Alleyway Rover. And that is definitely true. We do really do care. And one more review for today. This is for, I love this name. This is Reservation for Jerry. That's the name of the user. A great listen. Very insightful conversations that can really help people through challenging times in their lives and allow them to tackle these tough issues head on. Truly inspirational, and I look forward to hearing the next episode. And again, another great review. Thank you guys so very, very much for that. Jenny, do you have anything else for us today?
No, sir.
All righty, everybody. That is going to do it for today. Thank you so much for listening. For today's show notes links, you can, again, just go ahead and check out our website, changingperspectivesblog.com. Check us out on all the social medias. Check out our YouTube channel for all of the episodes. And what else? I lost my notes. Please follow us, everybody, on Facebook. You don't have it
memorized?
No.
Oh.
Please, I probably could do it by memory, but I'm going to stumble more than I normally do. Please follow us on Facebook at Changing Perspectives Podcast and on Instagram at Changing Perspectives Blog. Send us an email to changingpodcast@gmail.com. You can also visit our website by going to changingperspectivesblog.com. And while you're there, don't forget to visit the shop to check out all of that great Changing Perspectives merchandise. Go ahead and subscribe to the show, everybody, so you'll never miss an episode, and we will see you next time. Say bye, Jenny.
Bye, Jenny.
The Changing Perspectives podcast is produced, recorded, and edited by Dizzy Bird Studios. Please visit Dizzy Bird Studios on Facebook, facebook.com/DizzyBirdStudios.